Going. Hi, and welcome back to the Global Flow series. I'm Joanna Turner, and I'm so excited to be interviewing Regan Hillyer today. She is an incredible lady. We were both at A-Fest this year, although we didn't actually meet, but we've connected since. She's just an epic person, and she lives and travels all over the world. She's built an incredible business, so this is just going to be an amazing interview. So I'm so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here.
Amazing. So you just landed back in Bali from a whirlwind trip from Costa Rica to LA. I can't wait to hear all about that. But I'm just going to read your official bio because everybody needs to know exactly why they need to be paying close attention to this interview and everything you have to say, because it's all good stuff. So Regan is a serial entrepreneur, philanthropist, global speaker, and mindset coach. She's the founder of Regan Hillyer International, and a company dedicated to providing personal development and business training to men and women who have a big message that they want to share with the world. Regan specializes in helping experts uncover their true message and launch powerful personal brands, helping them make a big impact and build a legacy. Amazing. I'm so excited. Awesome. One of the cool things with this, I've been just learning and absorbing, and I love all this. So before we dive in, can you tell us a little bit more about your background, how the heck you got to be, running this incredible company and living this amazing lifestyle?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always joke with people and say, I wasn't born somewhere beautiful in Bali, sitting next to a pool with a laptop, changing lives. Like,
really?
there's obviously a journey that goes with it, right? And so, I grew up in Auckland, New Zealand, and I was fortunate to have an amazing family that really loved and cared for me and taught me that, the system was the way to go. I had to work really hard and, go to school and get a good education and go to university and get good grades, and then eventually, have a high paying job. Like, that was kind of the system that I was slotted into. And, I realized when I was partway through my degree in architecture, which I haven't used at all, by the way, although I did complete it, I remember sitting there, and actually there was a lecturer that got us to visualize our lives like 20 years out from where we were. And so I was like, oh, this will be fun. And I sat in my chair and I shut my eyes and I started visualizing, and I just felt sick to my stomach with what I saw. And it was in that moment that I knew that, just because I could do something, or just because I've been told to do something, or just because I've been telling myself I should be doing something, wasn't necessarily the thing I was meant to be doing. So that's what threw me into the world of personal development at a really young age, a 17, 18-year-old, asking myself, why am I here, and what's my purpose in life, and how do I have an amazing lifestyle and actually help some people and earn some money, and how does all this fit together, right? And so, that's what really, threw me into that world of personal development and coaching and purpose.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh. When you said about the visualization thing, I got goosebumps, and that's always a good sign. So, I mean, thank you to that lecturer, right? Like, seriously.
Right.
I did a similar kind of thing in one of my first Tony Robbins experiences. I went to his UPW, and he had us like project, if nothing else changed in our lives, like, what would your life look like? And like, the room was just like, whoa, and we're all just, there was somebody thrashing around on the floor next to me. Like, it was devastating when you look at that. And I had a moment when I was in my accounting career, and I was like, I can't do this for another 30 years. Like, I just can't do it. You luckily realized at university. It took me another 17 effing years to figure that shit out. What was the first personal development thing you did? And then can you tell us a little bit from that point to where you are now today?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the very first thing that I did is that I actually ran out of that lecture room, and I went home and I started Googling, how do I quit my 9-to-5 job? And this is before I even had one, right? So I was trying to get out of it before I got one.
I'm like, impressed.
Right. And so this ebook came up, this free ebook, and it was written by a self-made millionaire in Australia at the time. And I read the book and I devoured it, and it had everything from money mindset to wealth creation to, you know, psychology and real estate. And I was just like, wow, like there's this other world in there. And it actually said at some point in the book, you know, you should come along to one of our 4-day seminars on wealth creation. And so that was one of the very first things I did. And I put myself in that room, and I remember feeling inspired, but also really overwhelmed by all the different options that were available. And, you know, I jumped in. I didn't have any money at the time. I was putting things on credit cards and getting into personal debt and borrowing money and just doing whatever I could to take action on all these strategies that I was learning about. And I had this really challenging moment where I felt like I was getting further and further into debt, and I was doing everything that these speakers were telling me to do. I was super committed. I was taking action. I was investing in myself. And I was like, why is nothing working? Why am I not seeing results in my life? And I said to one of my mentors, I was like, look, maybe I'm not meant to be successful. Maybe this isn't for me, right? And he looked at me and he laughed, like straight in my face, right? And I was like, dude, like I'm sitting here pouring my heart out and you're laughing at me, right? And he's like, Regan, like you're missing the point here. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, look, so he said success is 80% psychology and then only 20% the action that you take in the real world. He said, you've got it all backwards. You're like 80% strategy and then only 20%, if you're lucky, working on your mindset. And so that's when I started working on me, and that's when I started seeing results. And as I started seeing results in my life, you know, that's when other people started coming to me and saying, wow, like I've seen you start this business. I've seen you do this. You look happier. Like what's going on? Show me how to do that too. And that's when I started teaching people. And then eventually I was like, I love this. You know, I could actually charge for this. And that's when I started one-on-one coaching. And that's how I kind of evolved into becoming a coach. So I wasn't someone that decided I wanted to be a life coach. It was very much an organic process of me trying to figure out my own life at the beginning.
I love it. I love it. And I love that it happens so organically. I think sometimes it's just the best way. So before we get even deeper into all of this, and I have so many questions for you, but tell me what is, and I'm asking this to everybody because it's going to keep getting these different answers, which I love. But what does flow mean to you? Because this is, after all, the Global Flow series.
Totally. Well, flow to me is everything. And flow for me is when everything just clicks together. And it's almost like everything happens with ease and grace. And you still need to show up and do the work. But it's like the world is flowing with you rather than you flowing against the world or trying to flow against the world. So for me, it really comes down to alignment. And I find that when I show up and when I'm acting from a place of alignment every single day and aligning with my bigger vision of what I'm looking to create in my life, when I am obedient to that and when I say yes to that and when I listen to that, even if it's not logical, even if everyone would tell me to do the opposite, every time I choose alignment, that's when I go deeper and deeper and deeper into flow. So yeah, that's what it means to me.
Beautiful. What is, and you might be like, what do you mean? But like, when you say choosing alignment, now, like there's going to be people here who teach alignment. There'll be people here who are like, what the heck does she mean? Like we've obviously got a broad spectrum. People like, what? Yes. How do you even know what you're trying to align yourself to exactly? Like you talked about this big vision or your legacy. Like how do you figure that stuff out?
Absolutely. And I think it's a valid point. A lot of people come to me and they're like, you know, how do I live into alignment? But they don't know what they're aligning to. And there's just, it's impossible. It's impossible to live in alignment if you don't know what you're aligning to. Now, an easy way to know if you're out of alignment is when it's kind of not in flow and you feel like the stuff on the inside that you're dreaming about isn't really lining up to what's showing up on the outside. So that's a clear indicator that you need to do some work on alignment. Then if you're looking to get into alignment, I always say, well, what are you aligning to? What is your big picture vision? What is your big picture reality that you're looking to call in and create in your life through every area of your life? You know, if you were to create your future in a way that was totally unfiltered and just unapologetic and from a place of being okay with not knowing how it's going to happen, what would you choose? What would you create? And locking that in. And then it becomes very simple when it comes to alignment. If you're faced with two options and you don't know which way to go, you simply ask yourself, well, which one is more in alignment with the vision? Which one is going to get me there faster? Which one is going to take me away versus which one's going to propel me to the vision? And that's how you get to choose daily to show up in a place of alignment.
I love that. I love that. I don't feel, and this is something I talk about quite a bit, is that people don't allow themselves to dream big enough. And I know like you had this huge visionary and you can see this giant legacy for yourself. But has always been like that, or has it grown with you, if that makes sense?
Absolutely. Look, it's definitely grown with me. I've always been a big dreamer. You know, even as a kid, I would sit there and dream about crazy things that I wanted to do in the world. And I've always had that within me. But at the same time, you know, the vision that I have now is very different to the vision that I had, say, 10 years ago, right? So I think if you're someone where you're not sure on your vision, or you don't feel like it just comes easy to you to dream big or to think big, I would sit down and simply just ask yourself, you know, what would this big picture reality look like? Like if I could ask for anything that I wanted in my life, what would be going on? And sit there and you can visualize it or write it out, whatever works for you. And then what I do in order to push my mindset further, I look at that and I think, okay, if that was my reality, like if I was living into that, like if that was my now, what would my vision be from there? Right? So if I was in my vision, what would my vision be? Right? Because if you're in your vision, you're not trying to manifest your vision. You've already received it, right? So I always look at like what's the next level, or what's the upper limit, or what's the big vision, and what's that next step. Because if you push your mindset to go that step further, which is not natural and probably quite uncomfortable for most people, all of a sudden you start seeing what is on the other side of that, and all of a sudden your big picture just becomes a stepping stone to get you to where you really want to
go. Oh my gosh, I love that. It's like next level. I remember a mentor of mine was like, we were talking about goals, and she was like, okay, so that's your 3-month goal or whatever it was. And she's like, so what's your next one? And I was like, I don't know. Yeah. She said, your subconscious actually needs the goal beyond the goal, because if it only gets to that first one, it doesn't know what's next. Like it's because if you have those multiple ones beyond, like your subconscious is so freaking powerful that it's going to the first one, but it's actually already sorting the rest out, right?
Right. Totally.
And I was like, I love it. So yeah, it's that mind expansion. And every time I think one of the things that I love doing is like talking to other people to see, because I think when I first started, they'd be like, what do you desire? And I'm like, I was so disconnected from myself and what was possible. I was like, I don't know. I want to help people. And I want to, like, you know, make a difference and live this awesome life. I know you have some amazing friends in this online world. Do you find connecting with other people to find out what their visions are, like, helps you expand yours?
Totally. Yeah. And I love connecting with other like big thinkers and visionaries, because even if like someone's vision isn't necessarily bigger than the other, there's always different things going on. So I find it fascinating really going and, you know, what inspires you and what are you looking to create? Because there's always things where it's like, oh, you know, that's cool. I can have that too. And you know, it helps your mind to see all the different options. So definitely. I
love that. Because I remember my friend was like, I think she said she wanted a magazine, and I'm like, no, I don't want that. And then somebody else is like, I want that. I was like, oh, I could have that. Like it hadn't even occurred. I love it. Like it's not that I wasn't allowing myself to think big. I just didn't even know it was an option. I'm like, oh, right, this is great.
Totally.
So I love it. And I think sharing your, have you, because I know you talk a lot about this stuff. Have you publicly shared the big vision? Like, does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Look, I talk about it, you know, in content that I create publicly. I definitely talk about it in, you know, all of my trainings where it's relevant. And I think definitely it not only helps inspire other people to lock in their big vision, but, you know, something happens when you actually share publicly and kind of make this declaration to the world, because all of a sudden you're accountable to the world, rather than just having it sitting in your head. So yeah, I do that a lot. I definitely do that a lot. Often if I'm looking to create something, or if I have a big milestone, I will create content around it and put it out there. Not to, you know, impress anyone or anything, but really more for my benefit, because I know then the world's watching, and I know people are going to come back in 3 months and be like, so did you do it?
Right? Oh my God.
Right.
I love that. One of the strongest ways I've created anything in my business is making a public declaration, and then I have to follow through. Like you can,
right? You can't not.
You can't not, right? Like my event, I was like, the room's booked and I have speakers coming. I better get my act together really, really quickly.
Totally.
So tell us a little bit about your business and the lifestyle you live. I mean, I love it. We're both travel a lot, but can you tell us a little bit about what that is and what you do and how you combine that with traveling all over the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Regan Hillyer International, our main mission is to really disrupt people's versions of normal and help them become wildly successful. So that is the core of everything we do. We do this by helping people shift their success mindset. And then we also work with, artists, leaders, creators, people with a really powerful message that want to share that and unleash that onto the world. We show them how to monetize it and how to create a massive legacy and impact through that. So I guess, key things to know, which is kind of cool about our company, is that it's a multi-million-dollar company, but it's completely location free. So we have over 35 team members literally scattered all over the world, right? I think it's across 11 different countries or something like that. And we all work completely globally, completely internationally, and completely location free from our laptops. So everyone can be wherever they desire. And that's so important to me because it means the heartbeat of the company is in alignment with everything that we're helping other people to create. So for me, talking about helping create this freedom and impact, if I was to have a stack of people sitting in an office that they didn't like, that wouldn't really feel good to me. So we've really intentionally created it in that way, which is pretty cool.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And how do you manage a team that size? Like, obviously you have help to manage them, but I'm just curious as well, like, how long has it taken you to build that team, and how do you manage that many people across all those time zones?
Absolutely. Look, we've grown really, really, really fast. It's kind of like everyone's just like, we're running, hold on, like we're going. So, I mean, this time last year we had 3 team members, to give you an example of the growth. Right. So it's shifted really quickly. We hire before we're ready. And every time we do it, I was like, I wish I'd done this earlier. So that's been one of the amazing things that we do. In terms of managing the team, I have one amazing person who basically is the team manager. So I chat with her minimum once a day, if not multiple times a day, but she's the core person that I speak to. It's very much her responsibility to then run the team. And so then within the team, we have little sub teams where other people have, different leadership roles and different responsibilities that run, right through the culture of the team. But yeah, it's pretty awesome in the fact that I really just connect up with her, and then she just connects up with her key people, and then they connect up with their key people, basically.
I love it. I love it. So I know to create flow within a business, everybody has to be working towards the same thing. How do you you either hire in line with the vision, or how do you get everybody on board with the big vision? Because if you're going at that speed, everybody has to be moving in the same direction, right?
Totally. Absolutely. And such valid points. And look, we're really intentional about firstly sharing our company vision and where we're going, and being really clear on how we're actually planning to create that vision. So we don't just stay in the clouds of like, here's the vision, we're just going to help people be successful. Okay, here's how many people, here's what we're going to do in the next 3 months. So we're really clear on that. But also, we are really clear on their individual visions as well. Especially when we're hiring, I want to know, like, what's your big picture vision? Like, where do you want to be in 5 years? What is your lifestyle desire to look like? Because I want to make sure that by plugging into our vision, we're getting them to their vision. If their vision is somewhere separate and we can't help them on that journey, then it's not a fit, right? So don't try and cram people into something just because they're inspired by your vision. It needs to actually facilitate them getting to their vision at the same time. So yeah, I think that's one of the key things. Something we have been doing really well, which is new over the past 6 months, is doing some really cool incentives within the team as well. And it's cool timing. So I've landed here in Bali, and so next weekend we actually have a really big team celebration retreat going on where we're flying in everyone that is able to make it. So I think we've got about 22 people coming out of the team, and it's 3 days just of like celebrating them and like relaxing by the pool and massages and cocktails and some hardcore personal development just for them and just really cool stuff. And so that was an incentive around their flights and accommodation and the actual being in the experience as well, with specific outcomes they all had to meet. And I just saw everyone really pull together and be like, yeah, let's do this and let's go there and let's celebrate at the end. So that's worked really well for us too.
Oh, wow. I love that. I'm like, I want to come. That sounds
yeah.
amazing, right? Like,
yeah.
Getting everybody focused towards the same goal. Like, that's
right.
amazing, right? And I think, like, this is the new way we have to be running businesses. Like, I think, like, you know, there's this feeling that everybody to live on purpose or to live your legacy have to be an entrepreneur. And the thing we forget is that the whole world can't be their own entrepreneur, because we all need teams and amazing people to help us create that vision, right? Like, if you're was trying to be an entrepreneur, like, it's just not going to work. But to be able to have them aligned with their vision and working towards cool stuff, like, that's how it has to operate, because we're creating these companies that are different. Like, so people are leaving corporate, but then they're coming into a company like this that has this amazing culture and different vision. And I feel like that's the new way we have to do business, right? Like, and we have to build teams and cultures that make more sense. So I love all that. Like, I think it's so important, but also for people to realize they can make a huge difference and an impact, but they don't have to always be
huge
one at the front.
Right. And some people trick themselves into thinking that they have to be the one at the front in order to make that impact. And it's just not true. I mean, someone that joins our team, for example, I let them know, I'm like, hey, like, you're touching literally thousands of people's lives and you're creating that impact because you're facilitating this vision. Like, you're doing that. That is your impact, right? You want to increase your impact, then let's chat. But right now you're impacting thousands, you know? And it's like, some of them are like, oh, wow, like I didn't actually think about it like that. It's like, well, yeah, we couldn't do this if you weren't here. So it's huge, you know, and yeah, you definitely don't have to be the star. You don't have to be like out at the front and, you know, the brand or whatever. You know, you can very much play an integral part and go to bed every night knowing that you're making such a big impact in this world.
It's just, I love all this, like, so important. Just, you mentioned brand there. How have you developed into you and who you are and your brand, and what do you think are some of the most important things with brand, bringing in that sort of alignment and the flow piece? Like, how do people get into flow with their brand?
Totally. So before I went online and before I launched Regan Hillyer International, I'd run a series of different businesses before that. But the most recent one before that, I was running a education business that was completely offline, where I completely hid behind the brand. No one would actually know it was me. It was totally just a company name.
Oh my gosh, I can hardly believe that, because you're like amazing, right? Like, that's
I literally hid, and it was this fear of being seen. It was this fear of visibility. It was wanting to impact millions, but being really scared to be in the front of it. So, I mean, it was $1 million company. It was amazing, but it was slightly out of alignment for me, and I really couldn't figure out what that was. And a huge part of that was realizing that I had so much more to give when I could actually just show up and be me. You know, I spent a lot of time in that business when I did show up. I'm trying to be something I wasn't, making sure that I was professional, making sure that I was showing up as the coach that I needed to show up as, and what would I wear and how would I talk and everything. And then, to be honest, when I launched this new brand, I kind of just said, screw it. And I committed to actually showing up as me, right? And so with all that comes all the fun stuff around truth, around purpose, around authenticity, around vulnerability, around being okay, actually sitting in that space and fully committing to show up as you, even if you don't feel like it, even if you are feeling like it's the last thing you want to do in the world, right? And actually committing to that. But I noticed that when I truly did that, that's when everything blew up. Like, that's when everything clicked into place. That's when all of a sudden income, impact, everything just skyrocketed. And I was literally like, what's going on? Like, what am I doing different? And it was me. It was how I was showing up. And I wasn't trying to be anyone I wasn't anymore. I was committed to showing up in my truth in whatever way that looks like day to day. So I think it's huge. I think it's everything.
It's massive. And I'm so glad you shared that. Thank you very much, because I think people would look at you, you're super successful, funky, like, chick, you're doing your thing. And for me to know that you were hiding behind something is huge, right? I help people be more visible and have that courage to, like, step out, and to see that progression I mean, that's huge. And I think that was really, really inspiring for people, and to be like trying to fit into that mold that wasn't you, and now just being yourself, and it's like, ding, like, it's amazing.
Right.
I was going to ask as well, like, apart from obviously being your awesome self, 3 to 35 staff in a year is huge. What else changed? Like, obviously it feels like something clicked into place. Can you speak a little bit more about that? Have you changed anything else apart from just being yourself?
Yeah, look, I think it was my mindset, and it was actually committing to going all in regardless. I was like 99% in before that. And that 1% was making all the difference. And that 1% was allowing me to hide. And that 1% was flowing into like lots of little areas that were being held back. So I think when I fully committed and fully just went, okay, I'm 100% in regardless, I'm fully committed to this, because I went deep into a place of showing up just as me, because I went deep into a place of truth and vulnerability and purpose in a way where I would die for my purpose. I mean, it's my purpose. It's who I am. I'm literally, I would die trying, right? So I think when you go that far in and you're that committed, you're willing to do whatever it takes. And it doesn't necessarily mean working a whole lot harder. You know, I'm the first to tell people I have an amazing lifestyle. I was here in Bali last night. I got off the plane. I didn't really do much. I checked my emails. I had a massage. Like, you know, I still live a really beautiful lifestyle whilst this company is like moving like there's no tomorrow. But at the same time, you know, it really comes back to just committing to going all in with this stuff, and not being afraid to make the changes and the moves forward necessary to drive that, right?
Okay, so you don't have to tell me, but what was that 1%? Like, why had you not gone all in before? What was holding you back from going all in?
It was a great question. I didn't fully believe in myself when I really think about it. It was self-belief. It really was. And I'm not sitting here now saying I fully believe in myself either. I just believe in myself a little bit more. That's really all it is. So even in my last business, you know, I was hiding behind a brand name, which wasn't my name or my brand, right? I was hiding behind that because it felt safer, and I didn't trust myself to fully step into that light. It was also a business partnership, so I was partnered with someone else because I didn't fully believe that I had the capacity to do it alone. So I was like, well, I have to have someone else that can help me and that can show me what to do. And although that was great and served a purpose, again, the minute I went all in with me, that's when everything started to move. So it really was self-belief. And like I said, you know, I still struggle with that. I still write a piece of content and judge it and go, oh my gosh, who's going to want to read this? I always say the same thing, like all that stuff always comes up. I'm a human, but it's just a deeper level of really owning my worth. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
I love that. It's so, so important. Just taking that one step, which I love, and I'm so thank you again for sharing that. How does someone improve that? Like, is it a decision? Like, are there practical steps? Like, how do you go about improving your self-worth?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think the first step is really just taking your own pulse and just recognizing where you're at and just tuning in. I think a lot of people miss that first step. And so even daily, I tune in and I take my pulse, and I take my pulse not just in my business. I'm like, okay, like where am I at right now in terms of how I'm showing up in my business, but where am I at as a daughter, and where am I at as a sister, and where am I at as a lover? And I check in on everything, right? So that you can really just feel into like, where am I right now, and what could be better? The next thing I do, step number 2, is I look at, well, what is the higher version of me that is sitting out in the world right now, which I need to call in, because I really believe that there's always a better, more higher, more evolved version of you, right? And so I start looking at, well, what is that identity like? Like, how is that put together? What does that person do? What do they think about? What do they talk about? How do they walk? How do they talk? What do they tolerate in their life? What do they not tolerate in their life? How do they show up? How do they run their business? And I start actually getting clear on that. And then the third step is to simply start acting from that space, to start actually making decisions, not from who you are now, but from who you know you're becoming. And if you do that, all of a sudden you start really stepping into that version of you, and then you start seeing the results associated with that, and it becomes easier and easier and easier to actually shift the self-belief.
I love that. I love that. I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins, right? He's like one of my first people that helped me get into all this space. And he sometimes says, he's like, you get what you tolerate. And when you said that word tolerate, it just went ding.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that, and how does that work out? Like how does that, yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I'm all about this. And I'm the first to tell someone that whatever you have in your life right now, whatever you're living into, whatever your reality looks like now, you're living into your minimum standard. You're only living into what you've tolerated. Like, that's it. We've all got dreams. We've all got like amazing days. We've all got like things that we're manifesting in our life, and like goals and hopes and desires. But wherever you're at right now, like that is literally what you've tolerated. Okay. Why is it that someone's life will blow up and someone will tolerate losing everything and sleeping on a friend's couch, and that's what they tolerate, versus someone else will end up completely homeless? Well, that's what they tolerate. Right? So regardless of circumstance, if you look around, that is what you tolerate. I often say to some of my high level clients, I'm like, look, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to go all in, you're going to blow it up, you're going to lose all your money. But what are you going to do really? Like, where is that going to put you? None of you would tolerate actually being homeless, right? Just because of how they're wired. So I just get really interested in looking at, okay, like this is my life right now. Take pulse on that. Is it good, bad? Are we happy? Are we not? Okay, well, that's your level of toleration. So then it becomes very simple of simply shifting what you tolerate and going, well, actually, I'm not going to choose to tolerate this anymore. And I'm going to shift this so that I only tolerate this. And having a look at, how do you live? How do you travel? Who do you hang around with? What conversations do you have? Do you have people that are draining your energy? Well, why are you tolerating it? Stop it. Right? And just eventually you just start shifting every area of your life until your minimum standard just continues to rise. Right?
Yeah. I love that. Like, just that consistent raising your standards, like so important. But also it's like, how good will you allow it to be? Right? How have you like expanded into what you can allow for yourself?
That's a great question. Yeah, absolutely.
It's almost like we have to like give permission or something, right? It's like,
you do.
How can I raise that?
Right, you absolutely do. For me, it comes down to my mindset work. It comes down to the internal work. I'm such a believer that anything you're looking to manifest on the outside always starts from within, right? And so if you want to do that, it's not a matter of just working harder or doing something differently. It's about shifting who you are and how you're wired and what you have the capacity to tune into internally. I always say, you can't attract something into your life unless you vibe at the same frequency as it, right? So you need to get yourself into the zone of having already received whatever you desire and get yourself into a place where your mind knows that it's completely possible and it's a done deal. And then obviously it's like the icing on the cake is the action that you actually take in the external world.
Yes. Yeah. I think people get it sometimes a bit mixed up. They're either trying to manifest on the couch, not taking action, or they're busting their ass but going in the like wrong direction, right? So it's kind of flipping that around and being like, we're manifesting, but we're taking action too. Let's do both.
Totally. Right.
Oh my gosh, I love all that. So obviously you get a lot done, right? Like, you are in it to win it. Like, I know it's like game on. How do you like structure your day or your time? Have you got any like strategies that you've found have worked really well on how to get more done? Obviously you're managing a whole bunch of people with your key person, but like and flying all over the world. What are some of your strategies to like stay in flow and like get stuff done?
Totally. And I'm really big on this purely because I'm a firm believer of not working hard. I'm a firm believer of actually doing less and achieving more. So I'm always looking to hack the system around this. One of the key things that I do to make sure that any action that I'm taking in my life and my business is getting me results and it's super intentional comes back to my daily mindset practice and simply going, okay, what's the vision, right? And then, you know, basically, who do I need to become in order to manifest that vision, which is what we talked about. And then the last step really is looking at, well, what would that higher level version of me be doing right now in order to have all of this manifest faster? What would they be doing? And then you simply answer that question like, well, I'd call this person, I'd be booking this, I'd be investing in this, I'd be doing this, I'd be hiring this person. You write it down, circle the top 3 things, and then commit to it, right? And so I always have my 3 daily non-negotiables, which are going to drive my growth forward. Now, beyond that, there's daily emails, there's this and that, there's someone trying to call me. I just tune out from it, to be honest. I'm kind of like, you know what? The important stuff is going to get done. But what's important to me, first and foremost, is how am I going to drive this vision forward? Because if I ignore that and if I get sucked into daily emails and people wanting my time and attention, I just get busy being busy. I become the person that just answers questions all day, and all of a sudden they're happy and their little outcomes are done, but the vision is not driving itself forward, right? So by doing the aligned action that drives the vision, once that is done, then I go, okay, cool. What needs my attention? And I'm really actually okay with leaving stuff undone, right? I'm really okay with emails not being replied to. I trust and believe that anything that is urgent will get sorted and will happen. But for me, if I can go to sleep at night knowing that I've driven the vision forward with those non-negotiables, then I'm good.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I will put my hand up to being somebody it's a lot better now, but I used to firefight. And I would be firefighting for weeks at a time, and then I'm like, I haven't done anything. Like I haven't done any of my stuff. I'm like, my team's ticking stuff off. But I was like, and you also, and I was at Brendan Burchard in September, and he was like, you know, every time you answer someone else's email, you're like propelling their agenda or their vision forward, right? Like you have to deal with your own agenda and your own stuff first. And like, he's like, and one of the things I find really, he's like, and you don't even have to reply to people because they're like just in your inbox trying to take up your time. And I was like,
the amount of times I've left it and I've gone back and then there's another email going, don't worry, sorted, because I didn't reply to them.
Right, exactly. Right. I love that. And I think people, and is there any like what this is a bit from I don't know why I'm asking, but like what tool do you use to manage your team across the world? I don't even know where that came from, but
totally. No, that's a super valid question. It's really funny. We use a project management system called Basecamp, which is probably the most simple thing in the whole world. Probably about 8 months ago, we thought we should grow up, and we started using some other really complicated project management system and got someone to like set it up and like put everything across, and no one could use it. Nothing got done. So then we went back to Basecamp, and it's super simple. It's so easy. A 4-year-old could use it, and it works really, really well for us.
I love that. It's funny though, actually, today my team is moving off Basecamp.
Right.
So I'm like, how fun, like we've I know, I'm like, ooh.
You can try it. Your team might be more efficient. I mean, we lost everyone and when we shifted from Basecamp.
Okay, good to know. I'll keep that in mind.
Right.
Like, no,
I'm sure you guys can handle it.
We'll be fine. Like, oh my goodness. So I'm just slightly thinking about that transition. I'm like, oh gosh, no, it's all gonna be perfect. It's all
perfect, right?
What are 3 things, or as many as you like, but like, what are some of your like top ways that you create more alignment and flow in your life, maybe in your daily life? Like, what's important?
Well, I think the first thing is choosing flow. I think that's the biggest thing.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, I really believe that flow is a choice. Like, I think a lot of people believe that, once I get to this certain point in my business, then I can be relaxed and then I can be in flow and then everything will click together. No, that's not the case. In fact, I know people that make more money than I do, that have bigger businesses than I do, that are way less out. They're like out of flow. They're like stressed all the time and running around and like figuring shit out. And I'm in flow, and then they're like, right? And that doesn't mean that it gets harder as you go up. It means that they just haven't made that choice. So I choose ease, grace, flow, alignment, trust. Like all of that stuff is really big for me on a daily basis. So I think that's one of the big things. Something that has created a lot of flow for me when I look at it and think about it now is being okay with saying no to things. That's definitely important. I'm a huge yes person. I love like saying yes to stuff. I love, you know what, if I said yes to everything, I'd have to be in like 3 different countries at one time right now. Like it just wouldn't work. But there was a point where I was like, yes, 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 yes. And in fact, this was a lot of last year for me. And there was so much travel and there was so much going on that I was like, oh my God, I can feel myself being pulled out of flow because this is just so much. And then I found myself not being able to choose flow because I was saying yes to everything. So you have to create this space to actually choose flow, right?
Yeah.
What else? So I think choosing flow, creating the space for it, and being able to say no to certain things. And I think one of the big things is catching yourself when you fall out of alignment. It's easy to make decisions that pull you slightly out of alignment if you get caught in the space of, well, this is what I should be doing, or this is the right decision. I'll give you a great example. In fact, we talked about this when we had a chat on the phone a couple of weeks ago. We met in A-Fest, right, in Mexico. Now, I technically wasn't meant to be there. I was meant to be speaking in London at the time for a really good friend of mine in front of a really large audience, and I would have made a lot of money and helped a lot of people being there. And then this A-Fest thing came up and I was just like, I need to be there. Like that felt in alignment for me to be at that event. So I rang him and I was like, look, I'm really sorry. I'm not going to be able to go. I'll find you another speaker. He's like, tell me again what you're doing. You're going to some networking event instead of coming here. Like he was literally like, Regan, this doesn't make sense for your business. And he was right. He was really right. If you looked at like what I should have been doing to grow my brand and like the money and like everything, right? But I was like, look, I have to choose alignment. Like this just feels more aligned. And sure enough, I needed to be there. I needed to meet the people. We wouldn't have been having this conversation. Like there's just so many things that have come from that, where if I'd not chosen alignment, I wouldn't have been in this much flow right now. I might have still been in flow, but not at this level. So I really feel like it's just trusting and going within and making those choices from within rather than listening externally to all the things and the shoulds and the go this way and this is right and wrong and all the people telling you that. If you can shut out the noise, go within, and your gut's always right. It's not hard. Tune into your intuition and go, what's right? What am I feeling right now? Feeling this. Okay, let's go.
So good, so good. And I know you've now got business partnerships and other opportunities have come from A-Fest, and you know I've met some amazing people, and there's this kind of like ripple effect that goes with it as well. And it's like almost probably from this place being like, imagine I hadn't gone. Like it's like almost like
literally,
right? Considering like who's now in your life and the people you meet.
Right.
So
totally.
I just love that you trust yourself and you listen to your intuition. It is so freaking important. So important. And I think that's one of the differences as well with people as they grow and as they grow themselves. It's not that we don't get problems, right? Like it is not like we don't have stuff. But I think that phrase you said, you catch yourself faster. And it's like, yeah, I have problems. Yeah, sure, stuff comes up. Yeah, I'm get out of alignment. But it's like you're quicker at catching yourself. So I love that. And I love that you're willing to admit that, right? We all get into that place, and I think there's this. I think as well, you were sort of touching on this as well. It's like when I get to this point, then everything will be okay. Like I know some people that thought like, you know, and there's this big thing in the industry. It's like that 10K month kind of thing. And like as soon as, and I think I was even under this illusion as well. I was like, as soon as I make my first 10K month, then I can relax and my life is going to be easy. And now I think it's the funniest thing in the world, because I'm like, I mean, I was hardly even getting started, never mind relaxing at that point. Like, I was like, oh, I'm sure life will be simple once we get past 10K months. And I'm like, no, it gets even more complicated. But it's different problems, right? It's good, right?
Quality problems.
Yeah, right? Like you're like, oh, this is a new thing to figure out. It's awesome.
Right.
I love it. Okay. So I'm just aware of time. I know we don't just, I want to just make sure we get all of the information everybody needs to be able to know where you are and all the rest of it before we run out of time. So This has just been amazing. Like, I'm like on your page. I'm like, yeah, I'm just like nodding. I'm like, yes. I'm like, all of this, this is what I love. I freaking love it. But for anybody online who's like, this chick's awesome, I need to follow what she's up to, where is like the best place to find you online?
Totally. Well, if you go to reganhillyer.com, you can subscribe to my blog there, and I do send out a lot of cool content, a lot of emails. But look, any of the social media platforms, I am literally on all of them multiple times daily, and it's all under Regan Hillyer, and there's a lot of value on there. So I very much transparently share my life through social, and I share my brand and what's going on internally with me and all of it. So yeah, if you connect up through there, say hi, I'm a real person, I will respond. Let me know you came from this interview as well.
I love that. Yes, please do that. Also, you have an amazing free gift, Be Your Brand. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And the link will be right underneath this video.
Absolutely. So this is a #1 best-selling book that I wrote called Be Your Brand, How to Go from Unknown to Unforgettable in 60 Days. And it's really for artists, leaders, creators, visionaries, entrepreneurs, people with a really powerful message. And it shows you how to develop, launch, and accelerate your message and your brand by really going within, unleashing this message, and then getting it out to the world so that you can impact millions and make millions in the process.
Oh my gosh. From that, can I ask you one more question?
Of course.
Like, what would you say is like the #1 thing that has helped you, apart from being yourself, maybe, but like has helped you get out there and be everywhere and do exactly that?
I think one of the #1 things is really realizing that my message has power in it. I think that is one of the biggest things. I think, and I say this so everyone can hear it as well, because I have a lot of people come to me and say, well, look, I have this message, but it's been said before, or it's not super complicated, or it's so simple. When really, if that is your message and if that is the core of who you are, then that's important. You know, I really believe that the stuff inside of you is important. I believe that you're here for a reason. There's no extra people on the planet right now. And so if you can put your ego aside and actually tune into that stuff that is within you, and if you're willing to do the work to show up and actually get it out there, then the world is waiting on you. So I think that's the biggest thing. It's been really tuning in and realizing that, hey, what I have to say is important. And by doing that, empowering so many others to think and do the same is pretty cool.
Oh my gosh. That is everything. And, you know, there's so many people that's like, oh, but there's a million, and we start that comparisonite of crazy.
Right. Yes.
And I was, again, I admit, being deep in that at the beginning, and who am I to do this? Everybody else is already doing it, and why would anyone listen? You know, all that mumbo jumbo. But as soon as you realize when you're just yourself, and sometimes the simplest things are the biggest ideas. Like there's one lady I know, Jada Sonner, she has a website called Simple Green Smoothies, and she teaches people how to make simple green smoothies, and she has a multi-million-dollar company.
Amazing.
Like, yeah, if somebody had been like, yeah, so I want to teach people how to make green smoothies, I'd be, you know, they'd be like, but doesn't everybody just know how to
put a spin on it that you haven't niched down enough?
Right? Like, I'm like, not like just smoothies, right? It had to be green smoothies, right? So yeah, it's like it can be that simple, literally.
Yes, totally agree.
Love all this. Thank you so much. I massively appreciate you coming on, giving us your time and your wisdom, and being just so honest and real with us. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to appreciate that as well, because we sometimes look at those people who are out there smashing it and with multi-million-dollar companies, and we forget that they've had a story, and we forget that they did hide, and we forget all of that stuff. And you make this look so effortless because you're in flow.
Right. So, and it all comes back to flow. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, and you've asked amazing questions. And I feel like we've gone really deep. So it's been super cool.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bye.
Awesome.